We are recording.
Okay. Um, so my first question is about how many producers contributed to this lot, the Siete Tinajas lot.
Well, for Siete Tinajas, if I recall correctly, the volume is around 35 bags. So normally for a lot that size, it will be like 3,500 kilos of parchment. And considering the size of the farms in the Cusco region that are quite small, like 1 hectare or 2 hectares, and the production that they have, I will say that is close to maybe 10 producers, 10 or 12 producers, but I will provide the complete traceability report to you as soon as we finish.
Yeah, cool. So it's fewer producers for this lot than I expected, actually. It's cool to get to know exactly who grew the coffee.
Yes, that is something that we have thanks to our SharePoint software that we have connected within all the company. And every time that a producer is delivering a lot into a purchasing unit, he's been recorded on the program. So we can see all the traceability from that moment, from the moment of purchase until the export. Everything is recorded there. And we can, of course, after we export it, we can have the complete traceability reports of how many kilos were like contributing every producer to the lot.
Yeah.
Specific.
So can you tell me a little bit about the farmers themselves who live in this region in Cuyabamba? Is that how you say it?
Quillabamba.
Cuyabamba. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Well,
So.
Quillabamba is pretty close to Cusco. That is quite renowned in the world, and
Yeah.
it's pretty close to Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
Actually, it's pretty close to Machu Picchu. I will show you a map just for reference here. I think that here, maybe we can see. Here is Lima, the blue dot, and Cusco is right here, crossing the Andes. This is the Andes. We need to cross the Andes. Cusco is over here. Cusco. And Quillabamba is located on the northern side of Cusco, right here, Quillabamba. So this is Cusco, this is Quillabamba, and the coffee has been growing in all this area, from Quello Uno to Quebrada Honda, Ocobamba, Quillabamba. All this region is the coffee producing area where we are sourcing your coffees. What is like interesting about this region? We have operations in Peru, in Cajamarca, that is northern Peru, close to Ecuador, and the other operation is in Cusco. In Cusco, we just have one purchasing unit that is based in Quillabamba. The reason why is because Quillabamba is the most like big city in that specific region that is close to the coffee growers, because of course Cusco is larger, but it's farther away. Quillabamba is like 6 hour drive from Cusco. You have to cross the Andes to get to Quillabamba. So you will drive and cross even to 5,000 meters above the sea level just to get to Quillabamba. It's a beautiful trip. It's totally recommended.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite trips every time that I'm visiting producers. And yeah, it's like 6 hours. So that's the reason Quillabamba is like the largest town in that area, where you can find banks, institutions, government institutions, etc. So that's the reason that we like thought that it was a good idea to consolidate everything there. And the purchasing unit was established in 2018. The producers in this area has a special characteristic compared to the ones from northern Peru, and is that everything in Quillabamba and in Cusco region in terms of coffee was all the commerce of coffee was driven by cooperatives. It was not normal that a private company was there like buying coffee. So all the producers were used to that, to work with them and to receive some other benefits like financing and things like that. But most of the cooperatives in Cusco region are out of business or are having serious financial issues for like bad management, actually. So this has had some repercussions in the producers, because they were delivering coffee at some point, but they were not receiving payments on time. They have like some of the cooperatives are like still owning some money to the producers from previous harvests. So for us, it was difficult at the beginning to say, hey, we're a private company. We want to buy coffee from you. This is what we are doing. We have a support program that is called PECA. We are going to help you to produce really high quality coffee and to create relationship with roasters. And yes, it's a beautiful story, of course. It sounds good, and that is what Caravela do. But the thing is that they are not easily open to trust a foreigner. And foreigner, I'm telling not because Caravela is from London, but it's because we are not known within the community. So we need to show proof that we are good for them, and then we can start growing. And it was hard. I was traveling there for several times, conducting workshops, explaining time after time what we are doing, try to convince the first producers to join us, to show them what we are doing and the benefits of working with Caravela. So that is one of the most interesting characteristics from people from Cusco, from producers in that region, and is that they are not easily open to new ideas, to new way of doing things, because they are scared. They don't want to lose money. They don't want to be like full. They don't want to lose all they put on the harvest, and they not receiving the fair price or not receiving all the money that were agreed. So it was critical for us. But our approach was to get first to convince some coffee producer leaders,
Yeah.
and after convincing them that it's true, that it works, that we're good, then they can replicate mouth to mouth and say that yes, this works actually. So that was the most challenging thing at the beginning for starting an operation in Cusco, and it's because of the culture. But right now we are seeing that it's turning the good results, because right now we are not inviting basically more producers, but the same producers are the ones that are saying to their cousins, their uncles, their friends, like, hey, let's come together.
That seems unusual in general that a producer wouldn't be curious about striking up a new business relationship.
Yes.
I mean, have you noticed that as well? Like, usually coffee producers are very open to forming new business relationships and looking for opportunities.
Definitely. That is something that we see in Cajamarca, where we are based too. And it's like they are so open minded. They are always looking for new opportunities, for new business. They are not scared at all.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why is because they have been more educated, and the coffee business in a more organized way happened before in Cajamarca than in Cusco. Cusco was managed in a different way, when cooperatives do everything. They just receive the coffee from the producer, and that's all. No information was provided to them. They have no idea what is going to happen with that coffee after they delivered it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they have no idea. They were like cut in terms of education of what is happening next. What are the next steps? In Cajamarca, is different. The people are more aware of how everything works, what a roaster is looking for, where the roasters are based, how to export by their own. And this is something that we have started to see more in Cusco, progressively, of course, but Cajamarca is way more advanced than Cusco in that terms.
Yeah. You were talking about Kiabamba. That's where kind of the operations are centralized for receiving coffee and possibly milling it. Is that where the coffee actually gets milled from, or is it somewhere else?
No, we just have like a lab and a purchasing unit warehouse there, and we are consolidating all the volumes there, and then we are moving everything to Lima.
Wow. So
Lima is the closest place.
and that's in Parchment. The coffee has to travel all the way to Lima.
Yes, everything is being it's like being kept at the Quillabamba purchasing unit in grain per bags,
Yeah.
in jute bags, of course. All the parchment is right there. And then when we have enough volume, like 30 tons of coffee, then we move it all the coffee to Lima. The travel will take maybe 3 days. It's a
Okay.
3-day travel by truck, so it's pretty far actually,
Yeah.
because of the Andes again. It's not easy to cross the Andes, and they have to do it like 2 times. and then just drive across the coast next to the Pacific Ocean. And yeah, it will take 3 days. And we are consolidating all of our processing in Lima.
I was struck by the concept of a high jungle, and it seems a little different. So the sort of forest that you would see like in a high like alpine forest type of thing. But what is a high jungle? How does that work?
Well, I think that I will share some photos. And high
Yeah.
jungle is basically that you are able to plant coffee and to grow coffee in 2,000 meters, 2,050 meters, which
Hmm.
is not common. It's not common, but because of the microclimates that you have for having the Andes right there. Actually, from some of the farms, you can see the Andes right next with
Hmm.
the snow at the top of the mountains. It's beautiful, beautiful sights. So yeah, it's because of that. There is like it's so different the weather from one side of the Andes to the other.
Hmm.
And the region where the coffee is being grown is surrounded by several natural reserves. Is a really really unique place. And yes, I think that is because of the different altitudes, the different rivers that are like everywhere in that region. And all of this is helping to develop like unique profiles and to create, even in farms that are like 2 kilometers distance from each other, such unique differences, all because of the mountain, the terrain, the geography is so different that the airflow, the way the sun is like the sunlight is getting into the farm, everything is different. Even the species that you were mentioning, actually in some of these locations you can see a lot of trees that are normally you will see on the Alps or something like that. It looks like Switzerland at some point, or Canada,
Yeah.
but it's in Cusco. It's pretty nice.
Well, um, is there anything that you think I should know about this coffee, or that we should know about this coffee that I haven't asked? Anything you'd like to add?
Well, I think that something that is like important to note that these producers are like they have other options. For example, in Cusco is something common, and it's like the easy option for many of the producers in that region for coca, to plant coca, because I mean coca in a legal way, because they have cooperatives that are selling coca for medicinal purposes or
Yeah.
for pharmaceuticals, etc. But it's easy, it's cheaper. They don't have to pay a lot of attention. They just collect it. Like I think they have 4 harvests per year compared to one harvest for coffee. So it's different. It's cheaper at some point to start a coca plantation. So they have been struggling during the last years for the coffee prices, for conventional, of course. So now, after we arrived to this region like 3 years ago, we have started to change that along with other cooperatives that are doing the same, trying to do the same, of course, to help producers to enter to specialty coffee markets. And we are so happy to see that we just started with 40 producers in 2018 at the beginning, and now we have something close to 150, almost 200 producers in the
Hmm.
same region.
Yeah.
So this is because they are saying that all the effort that they are putting into these coffees is worth it. They are removing all the coca that they have in their and on the opposite, they have started to plant like not native trees, some fruit trees, etc., just to provide shade and to have like a different source of income and to diversify, take care of nature, of the animals that are endemic from these regions. So it has been quite rewarding for us and for them, of course, to see that specialty coffee is profitable, is possible, and the efforts pays up at the end.
Yeah.
So I think that is
So what would you say? What are some of the effects on sort of either the land or people from growing coca? Like, why would you or why wouldn't you want to grow coca in Peru?
the reason why many people is into that is because it's cheaper. It's
Yeah, yeah.
cheaper, of course.
Obviously, you can make.
if you are selling conventional coffee with the CIGI market at 120, the prices that they are going to receive here will be like not good. They will be under the production cost. So it's
Yeah.
not sustainable for them. It's totally not sustainable for them. And even if they have a coffee plantation, like in a 2 hectares farm, 2 hectares of coffee, they will have to decide like I continue with this losing money because actually they are going to lose money, or I remove it or sell the farm, abandon the farm, or they just tear everything down and start with coca, or
Yeah.
they can start working with gold mining. That is the other
Wow.
option in that region that is
Yeah.
not good actually because of the
Yeah.
contamination. The coca plantations are terrible for erosion.
Hmm.
They dry up the soil in terms of nutrients. So when you are going to plant and I don't know, coffee or different products, it will not go well because the coca trees are like sucking up all the nutrients from the soil. So it's not good. It's not a good choice. But in some cases, they have to do that because they don't have access to a specialty coffee market. So they don't
Yeah.
have good prices and they will lose a lot of money. They have to sustain their families. So
So it's kind of like growing coca is kind of like a quick way to make money, but in the long run, it's not a good option. Like you, yeah,
exactly. That
gotcha.
that's and we are happy to see that some of the producers, when we visited the farms at the 3 years ago, they say like, no, I'm going to preserve my coca just in case,
Yeah.
because this thing with specialty, I don't know, it seems weird to me. I don't know, but we saw the potential in them. They wanted to change. They wanted to learn. That's the most important thing to highlight there. And right now, they just removed the coca and they planted new varieties of coffee, and that is amazing. And they have gone for the traditional varieties that they have seen that are the ones that are getting the best results in terms of cupping, like Típicas, Caturras, Bourbon, and they are moving away progressively away from the Catimor. At some point, when the Roya attack, when the coffee leaf rust or Roya attacked the country some years ago, it was a serious issue for all the coffee farmers in Peru. Government start to give some subsidies and some loans to producers to renovate their farms, but with catimor that was coffee leaf resistant. But
Yeah.
the issue with catimor is that it has like notes that are not so appreciated,
Hmm.
at least for the specialty coffee markets. So they have understood that and they have started to change progressively their plantations.
Yeah. Interesting. So, do you know anything about the varietal breakdown of these lots that we have? I don't have it up here. Do you know offhand like what kind of varieties the farmers usually grow from the Siete Tinajas and Spirituari lots?
Uh, For that case, he will be, let me check and I will tell you the exact
Yeah, I mean just
varieties.
yeah, in general, like what kind of coffees are they replanting
It
after
will be
at Timor?
like the Catimor is being replaced by Bourbon,
Okay.
mostly, but the first harvest will take place soon, but
Yeah.
it's not ready yet. But yeah, most of the people are looking for Bourbon because it turns out that Bourbon has adapted really well in that location, in that
Mhm.
regions, in most of them, and the cupping notes are pretty impressive, especially
Yeah.
for Bourbon in most of these regions. They have some Pache, they have Caturra, and mostly Típica. I would say that mostly is Típica, but people are starting to experiment with Bourbon. Pretty good results.
Cool. Interesting. All right. Printer just kicked off. I think that's a pretty good time. We can finish there.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, thank you so much for talking with me.